Hey, my name is Scarlett and I run a small business called AFRAYED Upcycling. I take secondhand textiles and make unique and size inclusive clothing and accessories. And today I thought it would be quite cool to do a little sew along whilst I tell you how I made my small business a full-time thing. So I'm going to show you what I'm planning to make today. So I'll just go grab that. So I usually, when I have lots of scraps, I make these scrappy bags, but this one's going to be a little different. So this one's like an organza version where I layer the scraps and put organza on it, and it becomes almost like quilted. But like my other YouTube video where I use my teeny tiny little scraps to make a quilted version, I'm going to do that today. I'm so bad at explaining things. I'm so sorry. So someone asked if they could fit a book in my scrappy bag, and I said probably not. So I spent the morning making a new extended version, and it's actually going to be this height. So yeah, I haven't actually tested the pattern out yet, and I'm quite impatient when it comes to sewing sometimes. So instead of doing a little sample to make sure all the measurements are correct, I'm just going to go for it. Also, this super cute little piece is from a tea towel, which I am currently using the rest of for a apron tea towel dress pattern, which is going to be released hopefully by the end of May, so keep an eye out for that. Also, this weather is absolutely gorgeous, so I'll definitely be wearing my tea towel dress pretty much all summer. It's just super flowy, super cute. If you want your own, I will be doing a drop next month maybe with some tea towel dresses, or if you are a sewer yourself, you can actually buy the pattern for this dress. It's the Joy Mini tea towel dress, which is named after my grandma. Okay, so where to begin? I have been sewing since I was maybe 14, and I used to have like the very first sewing machine I ever had was just like that little one from Hobbycraft, where it's like this big and you could only like sew like 2 stitches and it would already make a horrendous noise. So I started sewing. I learnt in textiles. Textiles was my favourite subject, and I was probably about 15 when I decided that I wanted to become a street dancer full-time and then a part-time fashion designer. Don't worry, I didn't carry on with street dance, although I loved it at the time. But yeah, so I naturally went to college, which was at Ravensbourne in London, because I'm from Kent, which is just outside of London. And in order to get into uni, because I thought that was the right path, I went to college and did a fashion diploma. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun learning new things. I didn't know how to pattern cut. I didn't know how to... I only had like the very basic knowledge of fashion, I guess. Also, I practically begged to get into fashion college. So when you go to interview for college, you have to have like a nice portfolio to sort of show your design involvement and different processes. I didn't have a clue, and I honestly like mashed up this absolute crap. The fashion tutor was there interviewing me, and I can tell from her face she thought it wasn't great, and she said to me, if I take you on, it would be a risk because this doesn't really show anything. And so I was like, oh please, like I didn't have a clue what I was doing, just like I just need to be taught, and I promise you it'll be worth it. Like I just like I practically begged to get a place, and I was so lucky to get a place at college. So I did a year of college, which was great, and then to be honest, I didn't really want to go to uni. I just didn't think it was worth my time, but I kind of just got like sucked into it, and I quite like the challenge of trying to get into a uni. And so I tried to go for the top ones like Westminster, Central St Martin's, London College of Fashion, and I got an interview for Central St Martin's, and somehow I got a place for studying women's wear fashion, and it was because it's one of the hardest places to get, I can't do this, it was one of the hardest places to get a placement, and I thought, wow, the fact that they've chosen me is incredible. So I went to uni, and about a month in, I kind of knew that I absolutely hated it, for many reasons, mainly because I had this idea that if I stayed at uni, I would just be stuck. And I've personally, I've heard a lot of great things about going to uni, but I felt like it wasn't really teaching me the things I wanted to be taught. I wanted to know how to like properly pattern cut and design, and I wanted to learn, and I felt like the style was very much leave you to your own devices, which works for some people, but it didn't work for me. And I stayed for 2 years, and then just before the second year finished, I dropped out, and I decided to go travelling instead. Got a full-time job in Catford, and I saved all of my money to then go travelling in 2019. I think those are the dates. So yeah, I went travelling. I went travelling around Southeast Asia for 5 months, and it was the best thing. I absolutely love travelling. I still like to go travelling now, but to do 5 months of just backpacking around Southeast Asia, it was incredible. And if you can, I definitely recommend you do something similar. And then obviously, if 2019 rings a bell, you'd know that COVID happened, and we were meant to do 10 months of travelling and ended up only doing 5 because we were forced to come home due to the pandemic. And about a week after we got back, which was in March, the country went into a lockdown. So during COVID, I wasn't too sure what I was doing. I ended up making scrubs for the NHS, and I also started to do some little YouTube how-to videos, which you can't find now. I deleted them, which I probably should have kept because they were cute. And because I hadn't sewn for 5 months, I was absolutely desperate to get sewing again. There were huge delays for fabric, because obviously it was just so unprecedented. No one knew what was going on, and because I was so desperate to sew, my mum kindly offered to give me some of her old clothing to make something with. And I joined a online sewing weekend event thing, and I decided I wanted to make a patchwork jumpsuit using my mum's old clothing. And I did. I made this jumpsuit and posted it online to a few upcycle groups on Facebook, and it pretty much went a little crazy from there. So loads of people were asking about it, asking if they could buy something similar, if I had a website, and that kind of really kick-started everything off. And then I can't remember the exact date, but there was a relaxation of COVID lockdown rules. So yeah, I moved in with my partner's family in Liverpool, which is where he's from, and I got a full-time job working for a charity, which was the perfect job for me, and I was just sewing in the evenings at theirs. I had actually set up a Etsy shop when we first got back and I started sewing, and people were interested in what I was doing, but the made to order part and the patchwork part was becoming an issue because there wasn't enough options on the Etsy listing. And then I got a Wix website. When I moved to Liverpool, I then tested out this new template idea for the patchwork jumpsuit, which I still use to this day, and that really worked. And then people started buying from me, and then my social media started gaining a few followers, and yeah. So then in 2021, I want to say, it could be 2022, 2021, we managed to get our own place, which is where I'm at now, and so lucky to have 2 single rooms converted into a little studio space for myself. And I think the goal was always to try and go full time, but I wanted to get a really good space to do all that. I worked at the charity for 1.5 years, and I was still selling patchwork things on the side, and it was going okay, but I think the desire was to still go full-time with this upcycling business. Then I went onto eBay and found a Heinz ketchup tea towel and thought, how cool would this be in a dress? I've always liked sort of quirky things, and I thought I had the right materials for it to go with it. I think it would look really cool. So I did. I made this tea towel dress. People went crazy for the tea towel dress. I think the fact that it was so quirky and so different, people really wanted something like that. And I had so many DMs, emails and questions on when I was going to do some more tea towel dresses. And as someone who really believes in made to order, because if you can make something in different sizes and have like different alterations and things like that, then it's just so much better, it's less waste. So that was in September 2022. And then I think it was that month or later that month, I did a bird themed tea towel dress design drop. God, there's so many words there. I don't know what I was expecting. I had maybe like 1,500 followers on Instagram, and I was still posting on TikTok regularly. So I just didn't believe that people would. I knew people were interested, but I didn't know how interested they were going to be. So I did 17 design drops. No, 17 tea towel designs for this specific drop. And thinking that I would maybe sell hopefully 5 or 6, because in previous drops I did sell about 5 or 6. All 17 sold out within 9 minutes of the drop, which was insane. I wish I filmed it, because honestly, I remember me and my partner were sat over there with the laptop, and both of us were just like looking at each other like, oh my god, I've got 17 dresses to make. Alongside a full-time job. And honestly, from like posting loads about the designs and showing, like doing like little reveals and transition videos on these tea towel dresses, my social media had like bumped up to like 3,000 followers, then 4,000 followers, and then it got to November of the same year, and I was like, I think I can make this a full-time thing. So I handed in my notice in November, and for the entire month leading up to me having my first day as a full-time small business owner, I had never been so nervous in my life. It was the most anxiety-inducing, nerve-wracking thing I have ever done. I could barely sleep. I was just feeling unwell, because the idea of trying to live off the money that I make, and solely off the money I make, was just, I just couldn't even think that that was gonna be a thing. Honestly, if it wasn't for the support of friends and family, small business owners who are currently full-time as well, then I don't know if I would have gone ahead with it. But God, I am so glad that I did. So my first day of going full-time was on the 1st of December of 2022. So this year, if I'm still going by then, it would have been 2 years since going full-time. So I thought I would just share some tips and some things that I wish maybe I had thought about whilst trying to go full-time, and how I've managed to thankfully fund this business up until this point. So number 1, get your finances sorted. I can't stress this enough. The first 2 years of going well, the first year of going full-time was such a headache. I'm not very business-minded, I'm not very finance-minded, and I didn't take any of my receipts down. I didn't log anything, I didn't log any of my travel, and I had a pretty nasty tax bill because I pretty much lost a lot of receipts and I couldn't really claim for anything. So that was a real pain in the bum. So I would recommend QuickBooks. This isn't a sponsored thing. I just think that was so helpful for me. You could like take pictures after you've gone like fabric shopping, take pictures of your receipts and log it immediately. And because it's linked with, well, I don't know how it is in different countries, but because it's linked with HMRC self-assessment, it means that it can just take the figure and it's all sorted for you. So 100% recommend QuickBooks. But if you're good at maths, good at numbers, good at organisation, then it might be better in a different way. So whilst I was working full-time, I did some online marketing courses on the side, and this was really helpful. It helped me understand my audience, how to try out different methods of getting my stuff out there, because unfortunately, even though I sew all the time, about 70% of what I do is marketing. So a lot of admin work, a lot of content creation, and luckily I do really enjoy it. It can be a bit daunting. I would really recommend putting your face out there sometimes. I think people buy more into people than they do the actual product sometimes. So be honest, show parts of your day, show how you feel about things, why you're doing this, and engaging with people, and like try and build like some community, because it's good. Right, I've got all my pieces scrapped up and we're going to take it to the sewing machine. It's going to get a little loud in my sewing studio because we are going to sew all these pieces, so I think I'll just film my sewing and then talk over this video with some more tips and advice. I'm hoping this video is going to be helpful. I do feel like I waffle a lot, and I am sorry. I totally forgot to mention that when I did the vlog, I said that I was going to change this space because it's not very pleasing and it's just an absolute mess. Well, guess what? I've changed it. So this was originally over here and this table was like here, and I've made it into an actual proper admin desk. And I did say last week, oh, I'm not going to use it as like a little dumping ground for all my stuff, but that's only a little bit, so it's fine. But yeah, and it's working really well. I'm actually doing admin at this desk rather than here, which is not great. Yeah, so very pleased with that. So to kick off this advice segment, let's talk about finding your own style. And trust me, I understand, as someone who upcycles, I like to dip into a lot of different styles. And although this is great for experimentation, this sometimes can be hard for your audience to figure out who you are. You ideally want people to look at something you've made and be like, oh, that is definitely an AFRAYED Upcycling piece. As mentioned previously, social media is key. It's a great tool, it's a free tool usually, and it means being able to reach your audience, which is the main thing. From the marketing courses, I did find out about having buckets or subjects, especially for Instagram and TikTok. So what that means is you choose certain subjects to base your content on, whether that be a day in the life of, outfit ideas, or what I made this week. These are great to help plan out your week and makes it a lot easier for you to get your head around content and content creation. If you are new to this, I would so recommend getting a newsletter subscribers list. Do you know how many times I've heard horrible stories from small business owners who have had their accounts hacked on social media which meant they've lost their entire audience base. So you really want to try and get a website or some form of newsletter to build your subscribers list. That way, if the horrible thing happens where you get hacked and you lose your social media, you at least have something to fall back onto. This is your reminder not to be lazy like me and just properly pin things, because this is so lopsided. They're meant to be like equally like this, and as you can see, it really isn't. So I need to unpick this and redo it. That looks so much better. It's even, and yeah. So I just need to add the second piece, which is going to go on here, and I need to finish the strap, and then we are done. Also, I've noticed every time I send a newsletter out on Shopify, which is the website that I use, the increase in views on my website is just insane. So please do it. Okay, the dreaded pricing thing. I hate pricing items, but it is so important that you price your things fairly. You need to be paying yourself a wage. You need to be able to cover all of these hidden costs that come with a small business. There's lots of different ways to calculate the pricing of your products. What I usually do is I charge an hourly rate, and then I add all of the fees and things like that on top of that price. And the last bit of advice that I can think of is try not to force things. I understand there's bills to pay, there's increase in stress, but some of the worst work that I do comes from being stressed, trying to force products onto people, and it just doesn't work. If you find yourself getting stressed, then please take your breaks, please look after yourself, because there's nothing worse than having a burnout period. So I think the main thing with a small business is just trial and error. The amount of times I have tried to launch things and it has failed, or I have tried to get a pattern made and it hasn't turned out the way I thought, so I've had to pay double. There's just so many instances where it really is just a learning curve. Okay, note to self for the next time I do this, not to make it so thick, because that was so hard to sew. And usually I break like 6 or 7 needles when I do a little batch of these. So luckily, I mean, I didn't break a needle, but it was so hard to sew. Anyway, right, so this is done. I'm now going to do the grand reveal and turn it inside out. And hopefully everything is looking good. Okay. That's not too bad. Okay, and I've got its little strap. So let's add this. And then we're finished. Oh, I really love it. I need to go find a book to test it out to make sure it's big enough. I'll come back. Okay, so this is the bag, and I think it's turned out good. It was a nightmare to sew, I'll be honest, but I still really like it. Now, I've got a book. Just finished this. Very good. Da, da, da. That is spot on. Look at that. And there's enough room to fit in snacks. And of course, the strap is adjustable. Oh, I'm really chuffed with it. That's really cute. I think the only advice that I can give that I hope people will take on is just go for it. What's the worst that can happen? Just go for it. Life's too short, man. Just go for it. Thank you so much for watching me attempt this new version of the scrappy bag and listening to my story of how I became a full-time small business owner. Hopefully, if you are on the same journey, this has kind of helped you. Yeah, if you like this video, please like and subscribe and leave any comments if you want to tell me what kind of things you want to see. The apron dress, which is the sister of this little trio here, the apron dress will be coming out at the end of May, hopefully, and I am planning to do a little tutorial on how to make it. So if you've got lots of scarves or you want to try out making your own unique tea towel apron dress, then check out my Instagram, follow my social media stuff, and then I'll get all the updates to you. Until next time.